Busy international week. World Cup qualifying beginning in Europe, in CONCACAF. I, for one, was happy to see the international games. It's been a heavy club schedule and a heavy burden put on those players. Games staggered, rounds coming at you thick and fast. The Champions League, all that came in. I think we're due for the international teams. And important games in those World Cup qualifying for sure. A lot of the players in the club game who have international aspirations, they were kept very busy, obviously. But as World Cup qualifying begin, and already eventful in Uefa, it makes me think about what we have to look forward to. In 2026, it's going to be a 48-team World Cup field. 2022 will be 32 for the last time. And when that news came out, I was just horrified. This is ridiculous. 32 teams is perfect for a World Cup. Everyone else agreed. This is just preposterous. Well, I'm changing my tune because a 48-team World Cup will allow the teams that you want to make it. Because what I've seen in UEFA, keep in mind, only 13 teams qualify from UEFA. Now, just go back to the World Cup in Russia. There was a total of 6 European teams in the quarterfinals. All 4 semifinalists were from Europe, and obviously the 2 finalists and the winner. It is the best region by far right now. But they have a European Championship coming up this summer, and there are 24 teams in there. And I was looking at the schedule, and there's very few games I would say, I'll miss that one. There are matchups that you will want to see, and the amount of stars that will be on display there. Cristiano Ronaldo, the French team, the Belgian team, the English team, the Germans, the Italians, maybe Zlatan and the Swedes. Zlatan, by the way, very impressive. I know I was critical of him, but he rejoined the Swedish national team, and he was a wonderful collaborator. It wasn't like before where it's Zlatan and the other 10. He was part of the Swedish outfit. It's a collective, and that's a very dangerous team in the Euros if Zlatan joins them, even without. But this Zlatan, what I saw there is it looks like it's going to work. But there is just so much powerhouse teams in that competition. And now, you look at World Cup qualifying where you just have the 13 spots. To win your group, you get in. There's 10 groups. I don't know if all these teams are going to win it. Portugal's already dropped points, controversially, to Serbia. They just have 4 points in their opening 2 games. So do the Serbs. Spain dropped a point. They tied the Greeks. They were losing to Georgia before pulling it out late by the skin of their teeth. If they don't, they're in real trouble. Belgium dropped points to the Czechs. France tied Ukraine. France! The reigning champs, they have to qualify. Like everyone else, schlepping around. That's not fair. I want France to defend their World Cup title. And they probably will. Croatia, a losing finalist in the last World Cup, they lost to Slovenia. There's going to be some stumbling blocks. And I want a World Cup. I want to see all those teams. I want to see Cristiano there, probably his last World Cup. Count me in for a 48-team World Cup. Because UEFA qualifying is bonkers. Even looking at South America. South America, 10 nations, top 4 qualify, 5th team goes to a playoff. They'll probably get 5. It's still very early, and they didn't have qualifiers this time around because COVID. But Uruguay is in a position, they're a top 10 team in the world. 6th right now. It's still very early. They wouldn't qualify for the World Cup. I want Uruguay in the World Cup. So the 48-team World Cup will help facilitate that, and everyone will be happy. It's a party after all. Come on, everyone's invited. Not everyone. It's also very unique because the bottom in Europe is catching up to the top. In years past, teams like Azerbaijan or the Faroe Islands or Armenia or San Marino, not to be confused with Dan Marino. That's an oldie but a goodie. They would lose by double-digit goals, but that's not happening anymore. And some teams come up and bite the others when you least expect it. Now, Gary Lineker, English soccer legend, incredible TV talent these days, tweeted, his tweets get crazy traffic, "Surely we have reached the stage where the lowest-ranked nation should play amongst themselves for the right to play at this level. It's become absurd." And I would agree with that. However, Ireland not in the league of those other European nations I mentioned, but still a big name. They lost at home to Luxembourg. Have you seen Luxembourg on a map? Have you seen it? It's very small. It's about this big. They have 3 brothers on their team, and they would have never beaten Ireland in years past, and now they're beating them. They've been beating teams all along. And look what Iceland did. The bottom's coming up, and they're going to make it very difficult for those top-tier teams that have to be on all the time. So give me the 48-team World Cup any day. Big story in the United States. Our youth national team, under 23s, failed to make the Olympics again, getting knocked out by Honduras, who are in every Olympic Games. So everyone's very disappointed. And I just wanted to touch on this for a little bit. It's highly disappointed, obviously, to not make the Olympics. But I don't want this to dampen the enthusiasm we have for U.S. soccer. In a perfect world, our under-23 talent, which is now our senior team, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Serginho Dest, all those guys, Yunus Musa, would be in that Olympic qualifying and have qualified with ease. We have some of the best young talent in the world. There's not many teams that can touch us. A top 10, I would even say. Maybe that's going a little too far, but close. We would have qualified. So the Olympics, I mean, I know Brazil won the last Olympics, but I had to look it up. I don't watch the Olympic tournament. It pales in comparison to the World Cup, the Euros. It pales in comparison to the Gold Cup, even, if you ask me. There's so many restrictions. It's flawed so many places. When it rolls around, the best talent under 23 is not always there. I don't remember France being at the last one. The top teams from Europe don't always qualify. So as disappointing as it is, there's a lot of reason to be upset about it. Don't let it go there. Let's be enthusiastic because we are way ahead of the curve than we were before. This is obviously a big setback. You know, it isn't a big setback. It is a big setback. But let's remember the positive momentum and build off of that. And we'll see where it goes. I will be talking much more about this. Just the Olympics is not, it's not the World Cup. I'll talk more about this on the Soccer O.G. podcast, where you can find where podcasts are made available. Joining me from Counterattack on Sirius XM FC is Brian Dunseth, former U.S. international who played at the Olympics. We'll get into that, and that is available Monday morning for all listeners. Soccer O.G. Let's keep the good times going.